No way, Paul!
IBM partners with Quebec's government to install first quantum computer in Canada. Hey everybody, Venominous here. IBM is bringing Canada its first universal quantum computer in partnership with the government of Quebec. The company will deploy the IBM Quantum System 1 at its plant in Bromont, Quebec. It will focus on solving problems in energy, sustainability, drug discovery, and more at the plant. Quantum computing focuses on creating computer technology through quantum theory and uses quantum states to make calculations. It can take decades to make significant discoveries and cost millions or even billions of dollars. Anthony Anuzayata, Director of Accelerated Discovery at IBM, said at a press briefing, quote, "We think we can accelerate that," end quote, by as much as 100 times, he said. The partnership will result in integrating quantum computing with AI and hybrid cloud. When you bring these three together, you really can start to do special things. You can actually start to really rapidly accelerate the scientific process. The system will be available at Bromont facility sometime in the early part of next year. This is the fourth quantum system IBM will install outside of the US. IBM has already installed the system in Germany and Japan and will be installing one in South Korea in the next couple of years. So, quantum computers, eh? Now these quantum computers are like D-Wave and all that. There's your wave symbolism again. D-Wave. It's a very, very powerful computer. And just the way that, from reading this, the way they talk about it, seems like it will be making the decisions around here. Yeah, which got me to thinking about a few things. First, a clip from Plandopolis.
Oh, hi. I'm so glad you're on time. I'm V. I'm looking forward to showing you around Plandopolis today. My husband works from home. He's a virtual engineer working on one of the city's desalination plants. He controls the robots who do all the important maintenance. I think he basically plays computer games for a living. You ready to go? Have you got your calorie card open on your smartphone? I registered your visit with Slick Travel Corp the other day, so they've allotted you a journey time to match mine. It makes so much sense, doesn't it? Switch off brain and go to work. With this many people around, I'm glad there's a mega computer in charge. We're so sense, doesn't it? Switch off brain and go to work. With this many people around, I'm glad there's a mega computer in charge.
I'm glad there's a mega computer in charge. You know they're doing this stuff in China, right? Across China, AI city brains are changing how the government runs. Authorities at all levels are now using them for everything from pandemic control to monitoring illegal public assemblies. While there are benefits including anti-disruption features, there are also concerns over privacy and data security. At the Linshu County headquarters in eastern China, a huge screen covering the entire wall provides round-the-clock information on its 600,000 residents. From there, the magistrate can access any of the 10,838 surveillance cameras installed in the country, any detail uploaded to the government database, and any complaints filed by residents. What did I just hear there? Must have been a cat. It is called the City Brain, an artificial intelligence system that is now being used across China. Only megacities can afford them before. For everything from pandemic contact tracing to monitoring illegal public assemblies and river pollution. The Beijing district of Haidian installed one in February that can estimate how many flats are empty by looking at power consumption. Heizhua, a small county of 150,000 in the northwest province of Gansu, has just signed a deal with telecoms from Huawei Technologies to build a similar system, according to local media, in Shandong, Linshu County. Again, using its new system last month, almost every city mayor and county magistrate wants a city brain, or something like it these days, said a Beijing-based researcher who tracks Chinese government use of AI technology and declined to be named. Driven by the need for COVID-19 control, more spending on new infrastructure to help boost the pandemic hit economy, and rapid evolution of technology, authorities in all levels are embracing AI, and it is changing how they function. While there are benefits, a city brain makes it easier to identify administrative problems, is faster to process complaints, and there is less room for nepotism and corruption. The technology, see, that's the key here. That's going to be major selling points. Your governments are so corrupt. Well, let's bring in the city brain to make it all fair for you folks. Meanwhile, I'll be watching every single thing you do and calculating whether or not you produce as much as you're worth, or a little bit more. And not, you get the gas chamber, if you know what I'm saying. But I digress. The technology has not been welcomed by all officials, with some at county and city levels resisting the move. Is a cadre of their relative puts in a bid for a government project. For example, an alert will pop up. Anti-corruption features are part of many city brains installed in recent years. Experts and the public have also raised concerns over privacy and data security amid the AI rollout, as well as the potential for digital bureaucracy or artificial intelligence controlling everything. The idea of using computers to run a city is not new. Smart cities were discussed in the US back in the 1980s. The concept involved collecting data using a web of sensors known as the Internet of Things, with computer analysis of that data to inform decisions like whether to build a new road. This is called technocracy, people. Let's call it what it is. China's City Brain project has taken this a step further. The first was developed in Hangzhou, Zhejiang province in 2016 by the cloud computing arm of tech giant Alibaba, which also owns the South China Morning Post. It was initially used to control traffic lights in the city, increasing the average traffic speed by 15%. The company also continued to develop the technology and now has a clone of the city that can be used for large-scale simulations to train the system on how to handle, for example, a terrorist attack, and to predict how Hangzhou may develop in the decades to come. But the technology is not cheap. The city brain in Heikou, capital of island province Henan, for example, costs more than 1 billion yuan. The systems usually involve two parts, one for data storage and processing, and the other to house the AI powered by high-performance computers. The cost depends on the scale and complexity of the system. In most cases, it is the region of several hundred million yuan, according to media reposts and government websites. Let's just keep going on. Let's finish it up. Sua Liming, a professor with the Zhao Enlai School of Government at Nanking University in Tianjin, questioned whether they were really needed, especially in smaller places. The outlay can be shocking, and if these fixed cost investments are for small jurisdiction, it is not economical. Sua wrote in an article in the National Governance Weekly Journal last month. The impulse of local governments to rush in, if left unchecked, could lead to a large number of those being built, wasting resources and other failures. But Lang Zhang, professor with Tinzhou University School of Public Policy Management, said the efficiency of the systems performing tasks faster than humans made them useful for local governments, and they provided support for making scientific administrative decisions. However, he noted that data security was a concern. It is especially necessary to prevent the government's business partners from exploiting public data for commercial value. He wrote in People's Forum Frontiers, a journal run by state-controlled People's Daily this month. Reliance on AI could also have other problems for societies. According to Liu Ji, a professor of information management at Fudan University in Shanghai, in practice, some regions require all kinds of real-time data from citizens and enterprises to grasp the overall situation and make timely decisions. Liu said in a national government's weekly article last month, as the system gradually deepens and expands, a possible result is the people will be leading a planned life in a transparent environment and doing non-creative work, while the government becomes the technocratic institution. Well, there they mentioned it there, technocratic institution. So yeah, a very real thing in China, and I think that's something they definitely want in the U.S., especially the smart cities thing, technocracy. Speaking of China, there was also a recent article coming out about the artificial sun. If you haven't heard about China's $1 trillion artificial sun, it is something that is very concerning, something to think about. China has been developing for years an artificial sun, an energy source with a power capacity that is comparable to our closest star. The latest reports indicate they have succeeded. A bright new opportunity. And there's Stonehenge. Now, it goes without saying that harnessing a seemingly infinite power source with an amount of energy equivalent to the sun is a game changer for the whole world. East Experimental Advanced Superconducting Tokamak. China's artificial sun goes by the name of what I just said. It's a nuclear reactor capable of reaching and surpassing the temperature of the sun. That's always good. 70 million degrees Celsius. East reached 70 million degrees Celsius for 17 minutes. Gotta love it. As reported by the Xinhua news agency and picked up by the Independent and South China Morning Post, that is roughly 5 times the temperature of the sun. The cleanest source of energy. The aim of the project is to go from nuclear fission, which is what nuclear plants currently use, to nuclear fusion, which could be the cleanest source of energy yet. Excuse me. Replicating the sun, people. Nuclear fusion could be the cleanest energy source available because it replicates the sun's physics by merging atomic nuclei to generate large amounts of energy into electricity, writes Elizabeth Gamillo for the Smithsonian Magazine. I got a cough again, hold on. $1 trillion light bulb. Several international news sources claim that China has invested over $1 trillion in this artificial sun. No fossil fuel, no radioactive waste. Replicating the sun would translate into a seemingly infinite source of clean energy. It would not consume fuel, such as coal, gas, or oil. Scientists also claim that it would not produce radioactive waste. Out of China. China isn't the only one working on this type of project, although probably it is the most advanced yet. ITER. The United States, the European Union, China, Russia, Japan, South Korea, and India are all working together in the International Thermonuclear Experimental Reactor or ITER. ITER? A total of 35 nations are collaborating on this project by 2025. ITER, which is located in the southern French region of Provence, is scheduled to start working by 2025. Safer. The advocates for nuclear fusion argue that this type of power source is safer than nuclear power since it generates reduced radioactivity and little high-level nuclear waste. No chance of another Chernobyl. Remember Fukushima, the sign says. There's also no risk of a meltdown, meaning fears of scenarios like Chernobyl, Fukushima, or 3 Mile Island would be a thing of the past. Objections. However, there are a few people who are skeptical about nuclear fusion. I'm not very excited, said Sherry Ragachal, an expert in nuclear physics at the University of Saskatchewan, per the BBC World. No returns. Ragachal and other critics point out that right now nuclear fusion can only consume more energy than it can provide in return. Oh, snap. They burned you good on that one. Power for the people. Another con is that we haven't figured out yet how we can repurpose all that raw power into electricity for everyday use. China sees the light. Despite all this, research marches on. If the project is successful, China would have an important edge when it comes to energy production worldwide. 2050 at best. The most optimistic forecast set 2050, just so you know, that's another one of the UN goal years is 2050. Is there 2030, 2050, 2080. There's also sub years in between that, like 2040 and 2060, I think, or something like that. I mean, every decade's gonna be significant for them. Like 2020 was when shit hit the fan, right? Or started shitting the fan. We all knew shit was gonna start to hit the fan in 2020. I just didn't know exactly what they were gonna pull. But now we know. The UK joins in. The latest country to bet on nuclear fusion in the United Kingdom, which is currently seeking a location to build its own experimental nuclear reactor. The investors approve. Bloomberg reports that investors believe that nuclear fusion is a safe bet, and in 2020 they invested up to $300 million in private enterprises linked to these projects. Out of science fiction. The idea of harvesting the energy of something as powerful as the sun might have sounded like an idea out of fantasy or science fiction just a few years back. Now it's around the corner of becoming a reality. Around the corner, you mean by 2050? Well, there you go, folks. Now, all I can think of when I, hear about the artificial sun is what's going to happen to the current sun. Is there something that they're not telling us? Do you think that maybe they're going to need all this artificial sun energy because the sun isn't going to be able to do its job? Maybe because of it getting blocked out? Or maybe because they have to go underground because of certain events that take place that they're already preparing for, predictive programming us with. They build their dumbs, and yeah. So I don't know. That's what I think of. I think this is replacement for a scenario that is gonna cause a great darkness over this planet. And it probably goes right back to La Palma, which I will be covering again soon with part 2. I just haven't got around to doing it. It's not like I didn't have any content. I just really haven't had the chance to get around to it. Now, on a side note, actually, you know what? I'll do this in a separate video. Because I think this has already gone on longer than I like it to go. Yeah, we're hitting 20-minute mark. I'll cut this one off and start the other video on its own. So there's something I wanted to talk about. Anyways, with that said, thank you so much for your time and attention. If you'd like to support the channel, there's ways to do so in the links in the description below. And with that said, this is Venomous, reporting from the Brave New World. I'll catch you all next time.
talking to me?